Hello everyone. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for attending this great event today and for making it happen. Please join me in welcoming the esteemed speakers Rajesh Kashyap and Ursha Jain to the stage to discuss the functions and benefits of Web3 banking and neobanking. Thank you so much. Please to the stage.
We have mics. Yes. We have one more. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. We also have Rishabh Java, who is the founding member of Rover Finance here to discuss about banking and neo-banking in this space. Okay.
I'll switch first.
You can sit in. Okay, great. So, thanks everyone for joining in. I think a lot of people are networking. Would be great if you can come in the front and engage with us. So, just to we'll start with the introduction first. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Ashwarya Jain. I'm the VP of Growth and Strategy at Nordec. Nordec is EVM compatible blockchain focused on payments and gaming. And we've been doing a bunch of things in the payment side, including neo-banking, etc. So we'll get into the details later, but would love to start with the introduction. So Mr. Rajesh.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. This is Rajesh. I'm CEO and co-founder at Nordec. Nordec is EVM blockchain and stand out as a transformative force which seamlessly bridge gap between Web2 and Web3 payments. And in last 1 year, we have discovered a couple of solutions, especially focused on business and consumers, focused on payment side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rishabh Java. I'm a builder in the Web3 space for the past couple of years, and currently we're focused on building Rover Finance. I'm a part of the founding team, mostly heading the tech with the product, and yeah, excited to be on the panel.
Thanks both of you. So one of the youngest persons I know who's running a bunch of protocols, working on different things for the last 2 years. So great to have you here, and obviously Rajesh Kashyap, one of the most experienced people I know in the space. So we have both the young and the new gen crowd as well as a very experienced crowd. So excited to get started. Today's topic is regarding Web3 neobanking. So most of you know about neobanking, but would love to hear from the panelists about we can start with what is neobanking, and then we'll get to the Web3 side of things. Yeah.
So, as we know, like the current banking structure, we have physical banks and branches. So neobank stands out like in a different way where there are no physical branches. It's a new refreshing face of the bank, which I believe with the help of digitalization and leveraging the technology. So no physical banks, no branches, new refresh feel and touch, like where ease of use, onboarding users with the help of technology, apps and all, and creating a different remark specifically, which I believe on creating impact on onboarding users also. So most of banks are moving forward to these directions to leverage technology and the current user interest.
Sure, great to know that. So I'm sure, Rishabh, you've been a very active user of different neobanks globally. Would love to hear your stories about different your experiences. I'm assuming that you're not so much into traditional banking. You don't go to a bank and take passbook and get your statement printed.
No, absolutely not.
So would love to hear your thoughts on neobanking.
Yeah, I don't think I know how to go to a bank and ask for my statement. Like we've not lived that life at all. I think what's important here in my mind as to like why neobanking is even relevant and why essentially I think my generation loves it so much is we've always grown up in a world where everything is instant, right? You want food, there's instant food delivery. You want a taxi, instant car, Uber, right? Like everything is like on our fingertips, that's instant. So why shouldn't access to our money and to our finances also be instant? And I feel that's the kind of gap, at least for me personally, that like neobanks bridge. It just makes it so that all the traditional banking infrastructure becomes super accessible. I don't need to walk to a bank in their operating hours, make sure the banker or the teller is not on his lunch break for 3 hours, and then in that little window of time do the transactions that I want to do, right? Like that's super constraining. So I feel in many ways it's really empowering to like have those have our access to our finances instantly.
That's great. That's a great point that you make. In fact, even the videos that we watch has come down to 10 seconds. Banking cannot be, going on for 10 hours. So that's a great point, and thanks for sharing that. But would love to understand from you on how do you envision a Web3 neobank?
Oh, a Web3 neobank. Okay, so I guess before we even start on that, it's like the constraints that I think we shouldn't forget is that many times with like building in technology, we think, oh, things are different now. We can do things that have never been done before. But I think in that process, we forget that banking is like a 300-400-year-old institution, right? So whatever new things we are coming up with, I feel like that we think are going to work, it's very unlikely that no one in the past 400 years ever thought of that, right? Like whether if it's something like, I was in this industry before, like early salary, right? So like, it's easy to think that, oh, this is innovative and technology is going to enable this now. But we're almost certainly not the first institution that's trying that in the history of 400 years. So I feel even when we are trying to pivot to like Web3 banking instead of even traditional Web2 based neobanks, we should not move away from like the first principles of banking in the ways that, some ways in which traditional finance worked, especially in terms of products. That being said, things that can improve are our banks give us absolutely no transparency on what's happening behind the scenes. Many times if you're trying to do like a SEPA transfer, an international transfer, you'll execute the transfer and it could be $100 or it could be $1 million, and next thing you know the funds are just stuck for 3, 4, 5 days, right? And it's your money but you have no control or access over it and no information, right? But at least in the case of Web3, we have access to the information to know what is wrong or like where the money is. And I feel like if it's stuck in like, it's a Bitcoin transaction stuck in the mempool, at least you know it's stuck in the mempool, right? So that also I think is extremely important when it comes to like finances, having that information, and like it's like a right to information to your money that banks don't provide.
That completely stands with the ethos of Web3, where everything is transparent, everything is on record, on a ledger, which can be accessed. So that is the need of the hour, for today's world when it comes to Web3 neobanking. I've heard a thing or two about what Nordic and Nextbank has been doing in Web3 banking. So that is something which I believe you would be able to share on how you're innovating on the Web3 banking side of things.
So I totally agree with my co-panelist, Rishabh, and on the top of that I would love to add like why in which and why the trends and moving in that direction, because couple of factors like why Web 2 to Web 3 banking, especially like technology is one of the biggest factor, again like governance, censorship, like because ownership rights, and there are a couple of things which a user want in a decentralized way. Security is one of the biggest aspects in which way. And with respect to all these, parameters and trends, like in the last 1 year, we had discovered a solution specifically for Web3 bank called Nextbank, which is available in now Euro region and in a beta phase. And we're exploring this, where NFT is a bank. Basically, you have your own rights, like how to use and customize your own interest and all with the Web3 wallets, and facilitate crypto to fiat, and obviously it's eliminating the gap between a bank and fiat. So like digital assets, like how seamlessly you can use. So with the help of IBAN and a card which you can opt for to buy a coffee, to pay your shopping bills and everywhere.
That's an interesting point. So you're saying NFT is going to become a bank according to what Nextbank is doing.
Yeah,
can
why
you just
not?
give a little more details on what is exactly happening there?
So see, like obviously it's when we talk about the technology part, like how Web 2 banks, operate. There are a multiple set of APIs, language and all. But in Web 3, you feel like the blockchain is the charm where, IPFS storage, blockchain and different, things come in place and which give more trust, transparency and ease of use, obviously. So when you opt an NFT, a random number will get generated over there and you should get your banking account with the help of IBM. And on the top of that, you can load your crypto assets over there. And once it's equivalent value of US dollar or whatever the market price, and you can, opt out to spend anywhere. With the help of IBM, you get one more leverage to transfer that amount to anywhere with the IBM facility.
Okay, so basically you're saying you're bridging the Web 2 world and the Web 3 world here. That is interesting to know.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great to know. But I would love to understand from Rishabh on what, being a power neobank user as well as a very core person in the Web 3 tech side of things, what is it that you feel would be the challenge in from what Mr. Rajesh has just explained? Using NFT as a bank, like NFT becomes your bank. You access banking services by just connecting your NFT. Once it authenticates, you start to transact. So where do you foresee challenges in this space?
I think with most things that have to do with traditional banking, it's like usually regulatory approvals that become a big challenge. That is, it's not even that what you're doing is in any way sketchy, but explaining it to the regulator because of the knowledge gaps can be such a hurdle that it always ends up slowing down innovation, right? So even if you want wide-scale adoption of many of the things that no matter how beneficial they are to people, unless you can convince that one gatekeeper, which is a regulator, things become difficult. So I would say that is one of the first things that comes to mind from a regulatory standpoint. From a technological standpoint, I think it makes sense, maybe to some extent, security with retaining ownership of your NFT, because people tend to lose the private keys to their wallet quite often. So you want to make sure that that doesn't happen, and then to prevent that, if you're using a hosted wallet, then you want to make sure that that does not get hacked. And if they're holding all of the parts of the private key, then you want to make sure that they're not able to access your funds. I would say those are kind of the two things which are important, regulations and then security on the Web3 side.
Okay, that's a very interesting point that you made. I also think that if you think from a global standpoint, right, Web3 is global from day one. It is not bound by boundaries, etc. So especially for Web3 banking to take off, as you mentioned rightly, one is the security, the second is regulations, third I also believe is the borderless way of operating has to happen. Now, if we have to think of okay, first I would love to understand from you, how are you solving these challenges?
Yeah, so initially, obviously, as judiciary is one of the key factor for especially Web3 banking. So in euros, in Europe now we have, we are operating this, and when more approach from more countries added, so we can operate in multiple countries. But yeah, it's come up with own challenges and interests. Security is one of the biggest concerns, but I believe people need some now they want to explore multiple things, how from past couple of years traditional finance is now taken care by the cool cousin DeFi and all. So I believe a multiple approach plus there is requirement to come out by countries or to take out some frameworks where I believe everyone's seamless can use digital assets, and Nordic is the way to try to achieve and bridging the gap between banking structure and digital assets by a couple of products we have from last 1 year we have discovered solutions which we categorize in two categories CDFI and DeFi. So you can probably go with the card where you can use your cryptos into fiat in just few seconds and spend it. And in DeFi, like how Web3 bank just connect MetaMask wallet and get your NFT and operate as a bank.
Okay, that's a great point that you make. I would love to hear from Rishabh as well. So you've been building Rover Finance for a while, and you have processed millions of transactions as well, millions worth of transactions on through the Rover platform. So you are enabling somewhere bridging this gap, right? When it comes to Web 2 and Web 3, where payments when processed, payrolls when processed, is hitting the bank account, not just hitting your wallet.
Yeah.
Now, where do you see the Web3 banking element coming into Rover Finance?
I think it's like a very direct fit and extremely good synergy in that way, because like if I were to lay out the way things work right now, right, and then we can identify the points of friction. It's like the employer says that they want to pay their employees. So first, each employee has to go and do a KYC process, which involves them having to register their documents, show proof of address, etc. And then after that, once they're onboarded, the employer has to do KYB, which is again a lengthy process. Then they transfer crypto to like another service provider who's going to load up the liquidity, and then they can go and run the payments. And if everything is good with the employee entering their bank details, then they will receive the funds. And then what has happened is, once they have received the funds in fiat, it's kind of logged in fiat, right? They can only navigate the Web 2 side of the world with it, which might be good if people are not interested in doing anything on Web 3, right? Like, let's say someone's salary is $10,000 and they want to invest a part of it in many high-yielding assets in crypto. They want to buy some ETH and restake it, or do something like that, or they want to buy some NRK and hold it, right? What they have to do now, when they have received, first, after they've done all of this, is they're going to receive fiat in their bank account. Then they have to go through another lengthy process to get back on chain and do transactions in cryptocurrency, right? But if we have a Web3 neobank here, what we do is we set up an employee portal on Rover Finance itself, integrating with the bank with their APIs, so that when the employee is receiving money, instead of having to go through all the hurdles of receiving it in fiat, they will receive it in crypto. Then as they need to use it in the real world, either they're using NorPay or they're using the tools that are given by the bank to like navigate the normal world. And at the same time, if they want to make investments in Web3, they want to buy some tech in Web3, they want to send someone money in Web3, they still have that flexibility, speed, and ease of use of Web3, while also very easily being able to navigate the Web2 world whenever they need to.
Okay, that's a very swift solution from what I hear. And if that happens, it is going to be solving the entire industry's payroll problem. So I'm super excited for the next steps where you will be possibly integrating Web3 banking, the moment it becomes accessible, I should say. Yeah, so that's great to hear. One question I have for Mr. Rajesh is, who becomes the custodian of these assets, right? When you have a Web3 bank, is there a bank behind this Web3 bank which is becoming the custodian? Because that is one concern that a lot of people will have when it comes to, centralized and decentralized banking.
So, in generally way, like we can see that, like when a user connecting MetaMask, initially he holds the assets in his wallet, and obviously it's an aggregation of multiple services where we call it multiple, partners performing at the back end, which perform multiple calls like adding money into your cards, performing IBM transactions. So solutions is centered around with a mixture of CDFI and DeFi, but moreover in terms of assets, a user have hold and he will immediately load his assets into his card and performing multiple actions. I believe with the friction of seconds, the assets will get reflected in the cards, and he can further utilize his own by his own way. But generally on the larger scale, if we call, like there are multiple channels, because let's assume you are holding an Arbitrum or Ethereum, you immediately there are set of process like how at the back end liquidity partners, multiple aggregation partners facilitate all the transactions and all.
Okay, that's great to know. So essentially what you're saying is, as a user of a Web3 bank, most of the assets are going to be in my custody, self-custody.
Yeah.
And only when I want to use it is when I use the neobanking service to off-ramp it in traditional sense, off-ramp, or over here transact in the Web2 world through Web3 technologies.
Correct, because multiple banking partners, they have one set of process which usually work as a technical standpoint of view by calling APIs and all. So when a user shows interest to load or you want to utilize his asset, but initially it's control, user have control to utilize. If I have $1 million or $100, I have my own control to load how much I want to do. So I'm not bound to load whatever the needs according to me. I can use it.
Got it. Okay, that's great to know, and I believe we are running out of time. So would love to move to the closing thoughts. What I would want to understand from each one of you is how soon can people in Dubai, first of all, get access to the Web3 bank? And second is, what would be the future in terms of the timeline when this becomes accessible to the rest of the world? Would it be in 6 months? Would it be in 6 years? Based on your experiences.
So more countries are going to be added as per the banking partners licensing and regulatory frameworks. So I believe in next 6 months or maybe in 1 year we have larger countries in the list, and in Europe and a couple of more countries like you can use it. And Nordic wants to stand out a transformative force specifically for this Web3 banking, and I believe I'm happy to learn thoughts and learn from this industry, and we are welcoming partners or collaborators who can on a larger scale. I believe collaboration is the key to stand out for a longer run.
Yeah, I think with regards to closing thoughts, it's might be a good idea to think of the incentives that are there in this industry to figure out the problems that we are having. Just payroll alone, just in the US, is like a $54 billion industry, right? So the incentives globally, especially in the part of the world on which we focus with Rover, like India, Middle East, is it's insanely big, so the incentives are massive, and when incentives are that big, nobody wants to move slow. So I know we are executing everything we want to do super fast, and I'm sure that other people in the industry want to align with that and want to move quickly as well. So
that's great to know, and thank you so much. One thing that I would like to say is, for anyone who wants to experience retail Web3 banking, sign up on Next Bank. Those who want to sign up, those who want to experience corporate transactions or payroll management, sign up on Rover. So this was great to have you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone in the room got the chance to get great insights from you. Thank you so much. Please join me in welcoming the sharing strategies and initiatives by Genesis to promote education and highlight the impact of education on adoption and growth of the Web3 ecosystem. Thank you. Nordic.io. Sorry, she will be joining. Hello? Okay.
Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, leading the partnership side of things there and also driving Nordic Genesis. Before I go more about Nordic Genesis, would love to tell you what's the background of it. I was recently hearing Brock Pierce talking, and what he quoted was, change the perspective, change the reality. So blockchain is a new concept in some of the parts in the world. People are sometimes focused on the traditional side of things, but sometimes it takes a lot to adopt it. But if you have to plant the seed of a new learning, what do? You go to the youth. So that's what, and that's where the whole idea popped in. So Nordic Genesis is basically, if you see on the screen, we have nordic.io/Nordic-Genesis. The whole point of this is basic planting that seed of knowledge in the youth. So as a blockchain company, right, we're a sidechain, we are EVM compatible, and for any blockchain for the matter, community is what matters the most. User community, developer community, builder community, but community plays a very big part for any tabs or protocols in the ecosystem. And that's where we want to focus on, not only get the users, but also educating them, right? So Nordic Genesis is basically a structured program and one of the core initiatives of Nordic, whereby we give the entrepreneurial push or create employability for the current youth, starting from India. Now, to talk about some of the traction or whatever we have achieved so far is we have tapped into 20 plus colleges / universities. We have run roadshows at least in 4 cosmopolitan cities, and also we also have smart contract deployment workshops whereby the students who just went through the workshops deployed around 900 plus smart contracts. Before all of them come in, we do a filtration process as well, and that's why we have 2,600 plus curated shortlisted students who are the active participants of Nordic Genesis. When we talk about the program, let's break down Genesis, right? G for grow, E for educate, N for network, E for empower, S for skills, I for innovate, and S for showcase. Not only you learn, but you demonstrate as well. Nordic, we want the ecosystem to grow, we want more adoption, we want our community to build, and we have a lot of products, a lot of partners. I mean, I'm from the partnership team, I know how many partners are in, so we are expanding. And there is a constant need of talent, a builder, a developer, and that's where we want to focus on. So we have come with 4 types of programs, one of which is Campus Ambassador Program. We have already done the first round of Campus Ambassador onboarding. We have received around 200 plus shortlisted ambassador list, and from there we have started our first batch. So what they have to do is represent Nordic, be the front face of Nordic. So not only we as a core team represent Nordic, but they themselves can represent Nordic in the industry, starting from their college. So there are milestones, there are some entrepreneurial exercises, I would say, in the leadership front and also in the community building front, whereby they show their leadership, they show their knowledge, and they show their hard work to enter the system and perform the desired task and get incentivized as well. Second, if you see over here, we have something for the builder. So any student, if you have an idea, if you know someone who has an idea, Nordic will help it to grow and bring into reality, right? So what we are giving is a startup grant of $500, but don't take it at the face value, because what else we are providing is come to the importance, because we have a launch pad whereby we can help you raise from there. Marketing, take you to places, do the campaigns for you, and there is a technical advisory team as well who can support in any technical hiccups you face. Then you have something for the job seekers. As I said before, that we have a lot of products coming in the payment infrastructure. As you already know, Mr. Rajesh, AJ, and Rishabh has already kind of pinpointed what we already do. So we are constantly growing, we have a lot of partners, and as I said, and I want to re-emphasize, that we are in constant need of talent. So we are providing a platform whereby whether you want to be a part-timer, or maybe a fresh graduate, or a consultant, or a full-time, anybody can apply for Nordic Careers. And that database helps us to to resort full-time. But how to get in the industry, how to get mentored, that's why we have that industrial training with you. So all in all, in the nutshell, if I have to say, it is a very curated program for taking the idea or taking the interested students and put them in our ecosystem. These are the cities we have tapped in, and there are tier 1 and tier 2 colleges. We have given our workshops, our CTO has visited, our co-founder, and together we give whatever we have in store so that the students, the youth, these are the colleges. We have IIT Goa, as I said, we have like tier 1 and tier 2. So we have IIT Goa, BITS Pilani, SRM University, and so on. Fortunately enough, yesterday through the Campus Ambassador program, because the elections are going on in India, we did an online seminar and we had 50 serious interested students ambassador who came in from a very small town in India called Bardwan. If you are a Bengali, you would know where Bardwan is. For value, for your ecosystem as well, please do let us know. We would be happy to curate more programs like this and curate more talents of this sort. We have a lot of partners till now and we are curating more. And let me show you some of the glimpses we already have. So this is what we have in store and it kind of reflects the success of the program we have run. And these are the social media shouts out we got from the students we have curated. And I'm not just telling because I've started this, but I have seen the reaction from different partners and also the students. And trust me, this is something everybody is enjoying. And hence, I request that if you know someone, a university, or if you want to run this kind of program with us, let us know. Would love to collaborate with you because in Web3, it's all about collaboration. Am I correct? So if you go to our page, we have some testimonials from the students as well. And now I want to wrap up. Before I go, I would love to tell you that it would be a pleasure to have everybody on board for this initiative because even though it's been like a couple of months, we're getting good traction for Nordic Genesis, and also not only the partners, the students, but the universities are interested as well.
Thank you very much, Priscilla, for this insightful presentation. That was very great and interesting. Thank you so much. Please join me in welcoming the Blockchain Gaming Alliance to discuss the growing popularity and potential of Web3 gaming. To the stage, please. Thank you.
Thank you. For Praveen. Praveen is here. We're just waiting for the...
Audrey, can you please come up?
That was quick. I need to get better courses. When I'm back in the UK, I have a couple of shoots booked.
I think we met already.
Hi, Fred. How are you? Good.
Hi everyone, at Riding the Crypto Wave, launching a Web3 game in the bull run. Relies on the bullish sentiment to bring more players and industry players into Web3 gaming. So welcome to our panelists today. Maybe you can give a quick intro each and tell us a bit about who you are and your projects.
Sure. Fred from Funfair Ventures. So basically we're a private VC and my main focus is gaming investments. So we invest in early stage studios and try and help them grow.
Great. I'm Praveen. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Aura. Aura is a game tech platform that focus mainly on marketplaces and esports community. We are built mainly on EVMs right now, but we are going to launch our first non-EVM very soon.
Hi everyone, my name is Igrim. I am VP at Race Kingdom. Race Kingdom is a Web3 racing game with an aim to build digital twins of the actual camel stables in the metaverse.
Great, thank you guys. So we've got a few different bits that we want to cover today, but let's start with launching a game in the bull market. So what strategies should game developers employ to leverage the excitement and momentum of the bull run when launching a Web3 game? Yeah, go.
So, mainly I think the basics and importance of any gaming platform is how the game mechanics work really. It has to be really intuitive and it has to move far from the narrative of a collectible. It has to evolve in terms of game mechanics, how the game actually works. And even when there is a bull run or a bear run, I am pretty sure the people who play games, the gamers, are more than interested in the game mechanics more than anything else. So first of all, that needs to be solved. Apart from that, I think the onboarding is a huge problem for Web2 users to come to a Web3 game. So I think that needs to be solved as well.
Well, first of all, we've been waiting for this moment for almost 2 years for the bull run, to finally arrive so we can launch the game. And our strategy is to take it into smaller steps rather than having one grand launch. We decided to launch in several batches, in several steps, so we can collect the feedback and improve the game and make the community part of our builders, so we can have transparent communication with them and also listen to them and know what do they want in our game next. But overall, I think there is a lot of space for creativity, and there are a lot of space, to make spin-offs or game inside of the game. So I think since the bull run has arrived, we can start launching in smaller steps and build with our community together.
Well, I guess that since the game is really not dependent on the price of crypto, to me, the value of the bull run is actually more volume of conversation on social platforms, which then means that the games can actually leverage that conversation to be more visible to the traditional gamers. So by using the Web3 communities to actually gather more and more talking and conversation about it and try and go viral so they can actually capture more Web2 gamers because they're more visible.
Great. And just to touch a little bit on tokenization, we'll go into that in a bit more depth in a minute, but how does the current bullish market sentiment impact tokenization?
I guess in the last week or so, it's been quite clear, and I've been talking about this for some time since we started seeing the crypto prices go up. All of the investors are pushing games for tokens, correct? So that clearly will affect the projects, the gaming projects using a token and pushing a token now. I think that will allow potentially for better funding for some games, but there's also the concern that that will distract them from their main focus, which is the product development.
So, kind of agreeing with you, right? In terms of exposure to capital would be better, but we should always try to learn from the mistakes that we have done in the past, right? Any model that you can't see your token as only a mechanics to reward users. It has to have some utility in the game. So a whole rounded ecosystem would be a better fit. Apart from that, I think like tokens should be only there when there is a real need.
Well, for us, tokenization, it was an important step, right? We're a Web3 game, and it was for us the way to raise funds and to get our early investors and early community members. And I think with the bull run, the liquidity will increase, hopefully, and the volumes will increase. But unfortunately, or I don't know, fortunately, communities depend not only on the utility, but also overall the story, and how they are attached to the game. And since we've been building for 2 years, they have been with us through ups and downs. And I think there is this kind of attachment in one hand. And in the other hand, like overall speculation that is happening in the Web3 market, Bitcoin halving, and it also, like Bitcoin price affects our tokens price as well. So, but I think we're on the rise. So yeah, waiting for the positive growth for sure. And also to add to what Federico said, 3.3 billion gamers, Web2 gamers, and only 2 million Web3 gamers. So it's the way, to onboard more Web2 gamers and to turn Web2 gamers into blockchain gamers as well.
Great, that leads me on quite nicely to the next question, and the same as above, really, for the impact of the bullish market on player adoption and engagement for newly launched games. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there are a few gaming guilds, right? Like world-known gaming guilds that we're also partnering, and and we want to also hear their feedback. But in the other hand, I noticed that there are smaller communities emerging, even like yesterday at the opening event and at the token event, I probably connected with 12 different communities, and like metaverse and gaming accelerators that also have their own communities. So I see that, of course, social media, Discord and Telegram are big. There are different guilds that are not as popular as the biggest ones. But in terms of the user acquisition, we decided to go with the guilds in one hand, and in the other hand, we decided to target crypto users, because they know, crypto native people, they know the value and they know the opportunity for crypto. And since if the game is also fun, it would be easier for them, to at least try to test, to see where the utility is for their token, right? And the third point is we will also want to target younger generations, because for them it would be also, in one hand, since it's play to earn some money, in the other hand, to educate them and for them to understand and experience hands-on what is Web3. So they can do all of their research, all of their education in theory, but they can also apply their knowledge through our game and understand, because we have several tokens. We have Wrapped Ethereum, we have Matic, so they can understand what's the concepts of bridging, what's the concept of interoperability, how in general market works. So I think for them, for younger generation and students, it would be a good means to apply their knowledge in practice.
Yeah, so pretty much covered everything. So only thing that I feel with the bull run running, there is a higher liquidity pools going on. So I think with the general consensus of bull run being there, people are not retail investors, and people who had a bit of resistance in the bear market are now willing to take up the chance to try out a new game. And in terms of user acquisition, it becomes a much more easier front.
So I guess a little bit of what I said before about user with social networks. My biggest concern is that when there's a bull run, there's a lot of people that want to get involved with the token, so they will go and play the game. But my fear is that actually isn't the user acquisition that the game wants. They're probably not retaining those people because they're not going to play the game. So I think that the bull run doesn't really equate to user acquisition if they're targeting a Web3 audience that isn't going to stick with the game long enough. Again, as I said, it's a way for you to create more noise, but it's probably not the kind of audience that you would like to have in your game for a longer period of time. And that would be going to the fundamentals of acquisition, retention, and play time.
And what challenges and opportunities do you see arising from launching a game amidst the volatility and rapid price fluctuations of the bull run? And what does that look like from, I guess, a gaming point and from an investor point as well?
Well, I don't know. I think I see a lot more challenges now. I think people always tell me, oh, yeah, last year was really hard and this year is much easier. I think that actually is a big mistake. I think it's much easier to get funding, but I'm not sure if that actually means anything in terms of fundamentals. I don't know about from the gaming studio side, but I can tell you from a VC side, what's happening is valuations are just going high. But the reality a lot of the times is nothing has changed with the game. It's just that the crypto gone up, valuations gone up, but the fundamentals in the game are still exactly the same, which means from our standpoint, we're probably going to invest less because we're not seeing better game and better quality, just bigger valuations.
Yeah, I totally agree with Fred. I think like the investors that you get in the bear market are the ones which are more relevant in terms of, because they were with you at the downtime. So with the bull run coming in, I think the fundamentals have to be sorted. Whether what sort of run, it doesn't matter really. Apart from that, it will be easier for games to raise capital, game studios to raise capital. There would be a lot of partners, and ecosystem would develop a lot, but we'll have to wait and watch how that ecosystem actually directs us to real gamers, right? That is the whole idea.
Well, volatility of the token, yes, in one hand, everyone understands that it's better to jump on when the price is down, right? But in fact, in reality, at least for us, it was vice versa. Because I don't know about other tokens, about other altcoins, right? But for us, I mean, it was a different experience because you never know and if the game is going to survive or not, if the project is gonna stand and stay for another 5-10 years. So for us, since we survived those 2 years, the bear market, and since we have a long vision, like 10-year vision, it was like different conversation. When we started sharing our roadmap, our vision, like our next steps to evolve the platform, basically the conversation has changed. But overall, like just looking at the token price and into the volatility, it didn't help at all. And despite the price going down, only I would say some private and a few of the users were able to jump on the wagon and take advantage of that. But overall, I think market was extremely risk averse, at least in our experience.
Great, and you guys have touched on this a little bit in the last question, but with the bull run, Bitcoin halving, do you think this will have an impact on funding and on liquidity flowing into the Web3 gaming ecosystem?
I think we've seen funding increasing. We've seen a lot more investors coming in. The question is, are those investors there just for the quick profit, or they're there to help and partner with the studio and invest in the long term? I think a lot of people that are pushing for token raises with these studios are just there for the short term, which means it's good for a studio because they can actually get some funding, but I'm not sure they're going to get the right support from an investor.
So I've seen like a better strategy in terms of check sizes. The valuation, as you said, is very better right now, but I don't know whether they are looking for the right kind of investors. It's not only with the money that you'll able to scale, right? You need like strategic partners to help you out, right? In terms of user acquisition, gameplay, in terms of how you shape your product for the next generation of Web2 users to come onto Web3. Then only the Web3 gaming scene is going to scale. Also, the entry barrier to owning an asset and playing a game has to go down, because nobody is, like, any gamer who's like going to try out the game shouldn't have to face like a really great barrier for entry into the game.
Well, I'd like to add that, first of all, I absolutely agree with Federico. There are different types of investors, and we personally turned down a few of them who wanted, just to make some money and weren't smart capital. We definitely prefer smart capital over, like short gains. And during the bear market, we decided it's better to have partners, to be part of different accelerators, to put as much value to the platform as possible and wait for the better times, for the funding, for the launch. So right now we are part of a few accelerators. We are partnering with different gaming guilds. So yeah, and I think it's bringing a lot of value. So this could be like another strategy in terms of the fundraising. So your platform would, the valuation would be much higher since you've done all of the homework, since you add as much value as possible through different programs and partnerships, etc.
And again, you guys have touched on this a little bit, but just to look at the effects on tokenization, is it a good time to launch a token, and what are the risks and drawbacks associated to tokenization in this market, in this climate?
So it really also depends, because people talk about doing a token and a TGE. It really depends on when that TGE is going to happen. And then for investors, what is the lockup period? If you're planning on doing a TGE this year, but then your investors' lockup period is 24 months, well, most of those investors will end up in a tokens liquid, which might detract a lot of people from doing it. Launching a token and spending their lives worried about the product, instead of being worried about the price. The reality is the only thing that affects the token price is Bitcoin going up or down. That's it. Bitcoin goes and your token will go up. But if everything is going down, your token will go down, but your product development will focus on product development.
Agreed. I think product development, obviously tokens have a utility or like sort of community-driven governance in terms of the game to launch a token for even a game, right? It has to serve some purpose, whether it be community-driven governance or utility in the game itself.
Well, I would say it depends on what kind of project you are and what is your goal. Of course, if you want to raise funds, it's a good way to raise funds. Yes, you can raise funds through token rather than equity. But the question is, what's next? Like, what's going to be the utility? When are you going to launch the game? And there are some internal factors, but there are also some external factors that you cannot have power over, and it can affect actually your project tremendously more than any internal factors, as it happened, with this bear market. In one hand. In the other hand, there are so many new ecosystems and studios like WeMade or IDOS games that have launched their own SDKs, that have their own native tokens, and you can be part of those ecosystems and actually share some knowledge, share some resources, and make your project more successful. So it depends on the goal, I think. But overall, of course, bull run is the best time to launch a new token because there is liquidity, there is user engagement, and overall the market is up, of course. It's a good time.
And I guess what's your experience or what advice do you have for game developers seeking funding for their project in the current market climate, and how can they navigate the dynamics of the bull market to secure investment?
I guess I would look at how studios have raised money in the bear market, and that would be the strategy I would like to see people do even in the bull market. I think having the fundamentals written down, trying to focus actually on the game fundamentals and the game mechanic and the game itself, as opposed to focus on a token value, and then investors will follow. Again, I will be very critical about this. Try and find good investors. Don't try and just raise the money, because what will happen is in 2 years, your token will be in a bear market. You won't have the same value, but you won't have those people by your side. That to me is a fundamental bit.
So how I look at it is that like raising funds, you can do token route or you can do equity route. The gestation period differs in both the scenes. So like you absolutely have to develop a product that is being usable is very usable for the users, right? Even for gamers and like the Web2 gamers as well. If you want to like really scale blockchain as such, and you see the recent blockchain developments have also been in line with this philosophy. They are building for scale, right? So you have to build it for scale. How you plan your gameplay ahead, build newer mechanics with, if you are doing a token, build newer mechanics with token which are very engaging to the users is what I feel should be done. Apart from that, like it's a good time to raise funds because the general consensus among the retail and the institutional investors are a little up. That's about it.
I would say it's important to treat fundraising as a full-time job on its own because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of pitching, it's a lot of negotiation, it's a lot of communication, it's a lot of background check, and it's important to have your data room updated and overall to have strong data room, whether it's about the product, the general information, the team, the financial part, and marketing, the strategy, everything. I think having it in the data room helps a lot since the investor can do the background check properly. And second thing is the warm leads and warm connections are much better than doing the cold reach out because eventually, once you raise funds, you're going to work with these people for the next 5-10 years, right? So it's important to have same mindset, same values, and same overall outlook into the market and into the industry. So yeah, I think those two things are important.
And just to touch a little bit on market dynamics and player behavior, are there any notable trends or patterns in player engagement and monetization during the bullish market cycles? And do you think it's different this time?
I would say there are overall two types of players or two types of users when it comes to gaming, especially Web3 gaming. One that want to make money and they're just purely, to earn some money, and they'll play the game, but the end goal is to earn some money. And the second type of the games that we have is, second type of the user is the ones that's actually interested in the game itself and, want to learn what's happening next, want to take part in development, and they usually take part in our polls, what kind of creature we should, develop next, what kind of additional features we should have. And also, I would say that they are very interested in upgrading the creatures that they have. And I noticed that a lot of SDKs also focus on that, on virtual goods and additional skins and tools. Since attention span of the people are so low right now, I think constant upgrades and additional features, additional modes in the game with additional tools and skills helps a lot. So I think in that sense, it's the same. But I hope that, the proportion of the actual players would increase in comparison to those who just want to make money, which is also fine. We're a Web3 game, this is also fine, but it should be an addition, not the main goal. And this is what we're trying to change, actually. This is what we're working on.
Yeah, making money should not be the primary goal of a gamer, right? I think it's fine if there are P2E models. I think the game has to be inherently fun so that the gamers could come in. And once the gamers are out there, then inherently the business model drives up, right? Through the stories that you try to build, narratives that you try to build. So mostly around, I think with the bull run, I don't see how it does change how the gameplay works. Absolutely, with the resound funding and everything, the ecosystem is going to flourish. You'll see much more narratives around AI-driven story building, or let's say other ecosystem partner would plug in and provide extensibility to the game with that breaks out of its own shell.
So I think one point that has been mentioned several times, and again, I think this is the only difference in terms of a game metrics during bull run, is you're going to get a lot of people coming in, try your game. But like was said before, they're not gamers. They're in there, they want to see how the mechanic works, how much money can they take out, how many tokens or NFTs can they actually pull out of the game to make some quick money out of it. So I think the thing that is important for game studios is to focus on the metrics that allow them to understand who are the true players and who are not the true players, so that they don't get distracted with the wrong numbers, because that's the biggest mistake. They go and say, oh yeah, we got 10,000 new players. Yeah, engagement is, retention for the first and second day is great, but they just drop off, or they come in much lower, gameplay because they're not gamers. And so I think that's fundamental. You're going to get a lot more traffic. Just make sure that your traffic is a qualified traffic.
And looking beyond the bull run at long-term sustainability and growth, what considerations should game developers keep in mind to ensure long-term sustainability?
I find it funny because you read all these decks about games and investment. It's quite rare to see, user retention, user acquisition numbers. Maybe a lot of them are in a very early stage. They haven't launched. But even the words and the wording around it, I think it's fundamental, correct? You're building a game. You need to know how many players you're going to attract. I think the topic that goes, well, I have a community of 45,000 people on Discord. Yeah, they're all interested in the token. Okay, the conversion rate from that community into gamers is probably going to be small. So I think what you need to be extremely focused is, are you going to be building a game that is addictive, that people are going to get stuck playing it? Do you know that your costs and your structure are going to be covered by those players, or are you just looking at the Web3 community? And when the bull run is over, you will be expecting to raise, and you're not raising because your project doesn't have a path forward.
So, pretty much covered, Frederick. I don't have anything to add apart from basically it is, as I've said like numerous times now, like it is the gameplay that actually counts. How good the game is. It has to be fun for people to play actually, and the community number, everything is good, but you'll have to see beyond a point that what sort of channels or just numbers that you can show. So there are like different top line metrics and bottom line metrics that you can show. Numbers grow every now and then, right?
Your own like multi-game, multi-chain platform and evolve into a metaverse, right? So you have to think about that, what's going to be your long-term vision and goal in one hand, and in the other hand also keep in mind that market and the technology is developing on its own and how you're going to adopt that or how you're going to be part of that, right? For example, gaming is the gateway into the metaverse, and for us it's like our vision is to have the metaverse, right? And to create digital twins of the camel stables in the metaverse. Right now we have the platform itself, but of course we want to become a metaverse. And like I think different games have different goals, but like for shorter or like mid-term sustainability, it's important to have user engagement and to run user-generated campaigns and to make them part of the game, of different campaigns, for them also to explore different creatures that we have, play with that, maybe also incorporate AI, and they can have like 3D models of the camels, and take a picture with that 3D model. And I think it's important to focus on user-generated content and user-generated campaigns to sustain it like short and mid-term.
So one last question before we wrap up, and just in one sentence, what are you guys most excited about for your own projects or for the ecosystem over the coming months?
Sorry, Mel, can you repeat the question, please?
What are you most excited about for the next coming months, either for your own project or generally for the gaming ecosystem?
Well, I would talk about our own project. We're very excited for the beta launch. We've been working and preparing for it for a long time, and it's been quite challenging, but we're very, very excited to launch the beta and to actually collect the feedback from different guilds and add additional features. We have so many features in mind. We have I believe, very strong roadmap, and we're looking forward to actually make it into a reality and, to introduce the platform to the user base and to the market, of course, in general.
So ours is a community-driven esports platform. So we are most focused on community doing those tournaments and playing with larger audience and driving the engagement to the games. That is what we have been super laser focused on, and that is our primary motive going forward as well. Apart from that, we have launched like a Power PI program that helps games which have like 1,000 plus users, monthly active users. We are helping with them with a aggregate fund of 1 million plus.
Well, I guess I don't have a lot more to add to what they said, correct? Each game has its own objectives, and looking forward to some things. To me, I'm just happy to start seeing a lot of Web2 companies coming into the Web3 space. I'm seeing a lot of projects are actually going live now that are from traditional established Web2 companies, and that makes me quite interested about what's going to happen in like 6 months. Less about the bull run, but more about the general direction of the space.
Great. Okay, we're going to have to wrap up here. Thanks everyone for listening, and thank you guys for joining and sharing your insights.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, please let's all together welcome Sonia Mahanti, who will be talking about investment trends in the crypto and Web3 space.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Hello. Guys, if you are standing at one of the high chairs, I'd appreciate it if you can all come grab a seat. We have had an amazing panel. Thanks to our panelists, Mel, Agrum. We had Praveen and Fred. Thanks for joining us. And we are going to talk about the money. That's why most of us are here, right? And these two guys here have a lot of money. So hopefully that will pull the crowd in. All right, let's go. Let's talk things about Web3. Let's talk about how can we make money in Web3, and more importantly, how do you raise money to make money in Web3? Before we get started, I am Sonia. I am your moderator for this particular panel. I am the founder of Orbis 86. We are a cross-chain gaming platform. At the same time, we are also focused on onboarding. So you will see a bunch of small community events being hosted by us. I have the pleasure of getting Naval and Sonny joining me here on stage. Sonny and Naval, they are partners at Leo Ventures, but more importantly, they are very well plugged in into the Dubai Web3 investment landscape. So I can't wait to dive into the conversation with both of you. Before we do that, Sonny, I'm going to start with you, because as they say, ladies first. Would you please go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience here?
Hi, thank you, Sonia, for that lovely introduction about money, and I totally agree with you and your vision about that. I'm sure everybody over here agree to that as well. That's why you guys are here. So, jokes apart, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Sonia Mahanti. I'm one of the partners of Leo Ventures. Leo Ventures is an early stage venture capital fund with operations out of Singapore, and we invest into startups in geographies like Southeast Asia, Middle East, India, and Europe as well. And I'm very excited to be, space today. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Sonny. Naval?
Thank you, Sonia, for giving me opportunity. Myself, Naval Kishore, co-founder of Nordic, the blockchain company, payment side. We are basically focused on tech, deep tech, AI, and Web3 is the key point this time in the Web3 space. And investment is very different from the traditional investment. So now we continue about next investment and all.
Thank you, Naval. Okay, when did the last Bitcoin happen? Bitcoin halving happen? Somebody in the audience has to be paying attention. It just happened on 19th, right? Early morning hours on 19th, early morning for us in Dubai, I guess. When is the next Bitcoin halving going to happen, guys? I will just, Taco, you're banned from answering, and you know all the answers. Somebody in the back, when is the next Bitcoin halving going to happen? No, you're close. I thought he said 5, yes. Next 4 years. All right, well, whenever a halving event happens, though, what we typically see is the onset of a bull market, right? And just before us, even on the gaming panel, we know that Fred, Praveen, they were also talking about how investments are rising. Now, between 21, 22, and 23, unfortunately, we saw a drastic drop in the number of Web3 investments globally, but the global investment market has also gone down. However, the global investment market was maybe down by 30-40%, but the Web3 investment market, because investors typically invest in trends, the Web3 investment market was down by 80%. With Leo Ventures investing in Web3, I would love to ask you that what is your narrative for 2024 and 25? And what are some of the key trends, especially in Web3, that you would be looking to invest in? Sonny? Yeah, I think that's a great question and a great start talking about Bitcoin halving, which happens every 4 years, and we have seen that with that, I think obviously the prices go up, not only Bitcoin but other private coins and altcoins as well. In terms of Leo Ventures investment thesis, we are kind of very focused on a very narrow narrative. We focus on payments. Mostly our top focus area is in the payment space because payments touches all our lives, right? And we have seen that there were some pain points in that area that we could, like one of the portfolio company could resolve. So that's why our main focus area has been payments, right? After that, infrastructure. Obviously, everybody needs an infrastructure to build on dApps and everything. So that's our second focus. Gamification, obviously. Meme coins, obviously, I just wanted to mention as well. I think meme coins are not seasonal. I mean, they are seasonal actually, but they also bring a lot of traffic to any blockchain, right? Number of transactions, because obviously there's a lot of FOMO effect that meme coins can create around it. And
bonkers.
Yeah, exactly. So even though our focus area is not that, but still we would like to not ignore them as well as the market trend. We would like to follow the market trend as well. But our main focus areas, I would say, payments, infrastructure. Web3 banking, is something that we've seen a lot of traction, there are a lot of demand there in that space. So hence our focus has been there. And trends, I would say in the next, I think deep in decentralized, physical, grid computing, artificial intelligence, especially in the identity space is some, these are the areas that I've seen a lot of builders around that, in that use cases. So I think this is going to set a trend for the next 2, 3 or couple of years, in my opinion.
Thanks, Sonia. I do agree with you. Obviously, the AI narrative is hard to ignore. Is there anyone in this room who doesn't know ChatGPT? All right, see, that is the thing, right? Like everybody knows ChatGPT. Anybody else who works with Llama, with any of the other open source models? Taku knows everything. Well, the current narrative is obviously being, led by AI, but it is hard to ignore the fact that despite 2 centuries of building financial infrastructure, finance is still a pain point globally. Even today, remittances, cross-border payments are a pain point. It takes people 3 days to even a week to get their payments across between countries. And more importantly, a lot of the times these payments fail, it's hard to track them. And there are at least 6 middlemen involved in any remittance transaction, and each person is getting a cut of it. So my question to you, Naval, is with your fund's focus on finance, and also you have, you're also part of Nordic. Nordic also focuses on financial products. I would like to ask you that in 24 and 25, what kind of products do you see that will make decentralized finance more mainstream?
See, I believe this time the finance little bit more upgradable level, because all traditional banking, they also jump into Web3, decentralized space. Very big example in front of us, the SC Ventures, the Standard Charter, that's not new. Everybody know the history of more than 100 years. This Standard Charter, they now become one of the strongest venture capitalist fund. Even they have very big financial institution and big corporates and also retails, very big space, but they also don't want to lose this space, and they know how much potential have in this space. That's why that kind of big corporate banks, private banks, and also some national banks being a part of Web3 venture capitalist area. And I believe 2020-24, this the year to transform the industry in different level, because just one of our audience told to us this halving happened just 22 hours before, I think, not even completed. Whatever, two days before happened that halving, and now the basically Web3 industry will really change the way to use technology and way to use the finance. And I think most of the area, the payment is the main player of decentralized investment, and the Web3 investment is I think all the industry run only because of they need the payment, the key, and payment the pulse of the business. And that's why as a Leo Ventures we choose the payment focused. And I believe this in crypto and Web3 decentralized, they merge together, Web3 and Web2. Without Web2 we cannot impact in daily life and daily life businesses. So now both are become a very important role together, Web2 and Web3. That's why all the Web2 VCs and Web3 VC together working in the new brand name by collaboration model. So many VC, they are before as a competitor, but now they are collaborating together. Some are in US, some are in UK, some are in Asia Pacific, but they working together and collaborating the finance and solving the issue. So as Nordic, what about you talking about Sonia, like point we focused as a Nordic in payment side. So why I talking about Nordic? Because we have Web3 bank. So very big example for all the users, all the venture capitalists and the industry key leaders. We are the first mover blockchain company who bring the Web3 bank, and same time that is one third party off ramping or third party any package, and I believe this market will grow minimum.
Rajesh, you have no meme coins. Naval, you have to teach him. Out here in the audience.
To answer the question yourself, like looking at the legacy and the background of the meme coins, they can be very seasonal depending. That's the hype creates meme coins, right? On a serious note, if I was not.
Sorry, we're just trying to figure out where the buzz is coming from.
So if you launch a meme coin, because everybody likes the idea of if I'm wearing that VC hat as an individual, yes, why not? Put in some bucks, right? But if you're coming industry, how conservative they are, So Web3 VC, I would say, is a spin-off of the traditional VC. Still the mindset exists, right? You have Web3 VCs who are investing in tokens and also in equity, right? That doesn't go away. The equity doesn't go away. Obviously, the VC. And do they trust the meme coins? Or my answer would be no, right? My answer would be no, because they see is that it as a speculative sort of asset class, but it's not for them, it's for the masses. So as I said, meme coin is for building communities, and in terms of it's more for the retail and then the institutional VCs. Yeah.
Naval, I would pass this question on to you just as a follow-through. 2 of the top 10 tokens are actually meme coins, right? Like Shiba Inu and Doge today are in the top 10 cryptocurrency tokens by market cap.
Yes.
So do you think that when the narrative changes and the meme coins become the top 2 out of 10 coins, do venture capitalists start looking at it differently?
I have two perspectives in terms of investment side as a venture capitalist for meme coin. Early these days, inside the conference room, we talked, some speakers talking about the bitcoins to 2012 or 2000. Of course, 100% I agree. And then after that become a strongholders, even though, and now Bitcoin is an asset class and a financial instrument for the banks and big blue chip companies. They invested and their holdings. Same like we cannot ignore the meme coins, and even I don't promoting some big company's name, but I taking example by name. Solana build their meme coins. Why? Because the engaging community, popularity and transactions both. Same time I have some information I get as a Nordic. Some of biggest characters in the gaming industry. Maybe we know the character name in our home. The kids are playing the game. Maybe you heard your family. Maybe your kids are also playing the Kuromi. Some developer, someone build a Kuromi coin in Nordic blockchain, and I think this can bring the buzz in the market and attract so many new users and bring the value in terms of gamifications, also transactions and more attraction together, because the decentralized finance working together. That's why this industry, I think meme coin have very big role in crypto because of the engagement and opportunity both at the same time. So I am 100% supporting the meme coins, but not a end user or investors, but a key industry leaders. This is a good instrument to create a good impact into the crypto industry users.
I loved, by the way, just a quick audience trivia. Which was the first transaction on Bitcoin? Bitcoin was used to buy something. Not the first transaction, but what was the first retail use of Bitcoin? And Taco is banned from questions. Right? Sorry, you're on the panel. Anyone in the audience? Aiguru? Yeah. Pizza. Somebody in New York bought 2 large pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. 10,000 Bitcoin, can you imagine it? But that transaction was extremely valuable because it proved a point. It proved that Bitcoin had inherent monetary value and it can compete with the fiat currencies. So of course, a lot of the times people are like, oh my God, 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas? But that first transaction was actually a real world transaction that was a milestone, right? And that's why when you spoke about it, I was thinking that today 10,000 Doge or Shiba Inu will get me more than 2 large pizzas, right? We have come a long way in just a decade's time. Sony.
So yeah, Bitcoin is now a legal tender in one of the countries. I can't remember the name.
El Salvador.
Yeah. So it's like fiat, right?
So it is the national currency of El Salvador.
Yeah, exactly. Coming to meme coins, but if the meme coins is backed by, it's a meme coin of an existing gaming project, for instance, right? It's an established gaming project, then yes, why not? I mean, obviously, that would be interesting, perspective to look at, right? Just opposed to just a meme coin out of nothing and hype. You understand what I mean? That's the difference, I would say, that makes investor think to invest into
Absolutely.
meme coins.
Is it backed by substance or is it pure hype and will it die away? Okay, now for the last 2 minutes that we have, what I would love for you to talk about, especially since we have come out of a bear market and everybody's acting like, oh, the bear was long gone and just 3-4 months back we were in a bear market. Now we're looking at the bull market, we're looking at a new narrative, we're looking at more funds being deployed, more capital being deployed. I would love for the two of you to talk about one recent win, right? Like a recent win that you guys invested in. It doesn't even have to be a win, it can be one of the recent companies that you invested in. And perhaps you can tell us why you invested in that company. So as founders, as builders in the space, we understand how are investors, Web3 investors, evaluating companies with their 2024 lenses on?
Very good question. I would say that even though we are sort of a Web3 VC fund, we believe also into looking into Web2 projects, especially in the fintech space. So our recent investment was into a Web2 project per se. It's not fully Web3. Which obviously see what was interesting about them was that they are a wealth management platform, like a traditional wealth management platform. So this company is based out of Singapore and they're doing very good and they're big investors sitting on the cap tables, but their value proposition is very interesting. They want to embrace blockchain, move into Web3 and get all the transactions onto the blockchain, right? So that was the value proposition that, really sort of made me interested to explore that project. And that's something that we invested into finally after doing proper due diligence. And to be honest, the cap table looks very healthy. You can't just, seclude yourself from not investing into that project. And this project is also expanding into Dubai and the MENA region as well. So so that is the recent investment that we made. We are not, as I said, we are agnostic in terms of tech. Even though we are Web3, we would also like to see if Web2 projects are going to integrate their use case into blockchain as a technology powered by blockchain, then why not? Well, that would be also an area of interest for us.
Nice. Thanks about that insight. I think, again, Web2 games, not just games, I was getting to games. So Web2 applications, including games, when they come on chain and they start leveraging on-chain prowess, whatever it is, right? Whether it is a loyalty system, whether, as you said, it's tokenization of any kind of asset class, right? It's hard to ignore that. So that's good to know. Finally, I know our time's up. I would love for both of you to actually leave our audience with a piece of advice, right? There are builders in the room. By the way, guys, Leo Ventures is actively deploying capital. There are other VCs also in the room that I know are deploying capital. I see Aryan there from Autograph VC, and he's a retail investor and institutional investor as well. So make sure that you grab a hold of these venture capitalists if you're a builder and looking to raise some funds, right? Tacos, yeah, taco, for sure. With that being said, perhaps Naval, you can start, but I would love for you to just close 30 seconds. What kind of companies are you investing in, or any kind of call to action for the builders in the audience?
I remind you again, like the payment is my interesting part, and I believe this whole economy, whole business, even ourselves, without payment we cannot solve our own problems also. So the best part is the payment side, payment and any kind of industry that solve the financial issue. So there is more scope, and I've seen so many projects they developed the payment, but also they integrating the more gamification side, like rewards, reward structure, and attracting new community, and making it a super app, not only the payments app. So they have a lot of different kind of wings of making money, not only that transactions charges or the fees structure. There have 6-7 new way to make money from the same products. So these kind of interesting product we looking for the investment side, and also the individual who want to invest in some company, I'm requesting to them to add in your portfolio some VC company, because VC company have the structure how can be filterized the investment, which kind of things need to be check and balance, and also the legal formations to need to invest in a legal manner and right manners. Like one of the biggest examples, I think last week Abu Dhabi approved one of the first Web3 venture capitalist license issued from the this Abu Dhabi capital market, this Colony Ventures. So I think this market just started now. So if individual as an angel investor or as a individual investors, you working in this space, better to collaborate with the venture capitalist fund yourself as a lead investor or as a LP or as a GP. There is more scope as a brand wise, credibility wise, and check and balance, and so many things need to be like in a professional way. This is from my side. Thank you.
Sonny?
So my key takeaways for founders who are and don't hop in and hop out of blockchains. If there is no reason for you to become multi-chain, don't do it just for the sake of grants, right? Just be serious about the projects that you're building. Spend time building what you're building. Try to scale it up, bootstrap also, and obviously eventually an investor will definitely see the potential and you'll be invested in, right? Just you have to be serious and stick around. That's my advice to the founders. And in terms of investors, I think we are living in a very open, collaborative world. No more this investor doesn't want to share the deal flows with other investors. We now are collaborating with other VCs, investors, and syndicating deals together. So let's just keep doing that.
Let's keep making money.
Yes, together.
Let's make money together. That's one of the key narratives of Web3, guys, that we are in this together, right? And it is not a sinking ship, so that is definitely a plus side. We are going to see the rise of community.
we are in an era where no one is focused on growing just as an individual. The narrative has shifted from corporations to collaborations, right? And that is key to the growth of Web3. Now, together, we can do so much. Alone, we can do so little, right? It's a famous Helen Keller quote, the woman who achieved so much despite a lot of things holding her back. So imagine if a person like that could do so much, what we as a collective could achieve. Again, thanks to the lovely audience here who paid attention. And as I said, if you are looking for the money, go and talk to these honeys. I don't know if that rhymed, but thank you again, everyone, and a huge round of applause for our panelists. And with that, guys, we are officially due for a break. So go have some conversations. We are taking a break at the right time. If you have an idea in your mind, this is the time to pitch it.
One selfie, one selfie. Take from your side, maybe better.
Test, test.
Announcing. Oh, you have something?
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be commencing our pitch sessions in just a few minutes. A very exciting time. Pitch competition right here.
Hello, everyone. Do we have Suraj and Knox Gallery here? Suraj, Knox Gallery. No? Suraj, Knox Gallery, are you here? Arjun Mishra, Rohit Bagela, Itai Azarati, Rikin Paresh, and Ganpen Vincent. You're here. You're what?
Arjun Mishra. Rohit. Yeah. How do we? Yep. Ricky. Okay, perfect. And we have one more you want? Yeah. Alright, perfect. So please put your things on the table on the chairs here. Five. Yeah. We'll start in 5 minutes. Do you want to put some of your stuff down? Yeah. Where do we pass on our presentations? What's the format? How do we are we just talking about our brand?
Suraj, Knox Gallery.
Difficult. I can be. If you don't find me.
Closed door. Will not be closed door. I mean that area on the stage.
That's not closed door. The stage there is for the public as well. That's okay with you?
Yes.
Oh,
It's a center stage. He asked us for the launch. But if there are people watching, it's okay. I don't want networking people when people are preaching. This is very disrespectful.
I mean, they don't want it to be done on open.
Yeah. Okay, so as long as you're okay that there's people watching you, then it's not closed door.
Yeah, that's okay. I want people to listen.
Okay, got it.